Здравствуйте. Здравствуйте, рада вас приветствовать. Александр Геннадьевич Hakimov в эфире.
Hello, we are
Александр
happy
Геннадьевич, я
to
сегодня
welcome
только
you.
утром узнала, что сегодня день рождения вашей
Alexander
дочери. Очень
Gennadievich
рада
is
вас
online.
поздравить. Вы знаете, это тоже еще
Alexander
одна ваша
Gennadievich, I've
ипостась,
just found out
потому что
today
родители —
morning
это
that
первый
it's
гуру,
the
и
birthday of
это
your
начало
daughter.
образования.
My
Поэтому
congratulations,
мои
it's one
поздравления
of your
вас
hypostases,
и вашу супругу
because the
поздравляют
parents
с
is the
рождением
first
вашей дочери,
guru
вашу
and
дочь. И
it's the
сегодня
beginning
поздравляем
of
всех
educational
злат. И,
process.
я думаю,
That's
у вас так
why accept
замечательная
my
тайна, потому
congratulations, you and
родилась в такой
your wife,
потрясающей семье.
with the
И знаете,
birthday of your daughter.
я бы
We wish
хотела,
her all the best.
наверное, знаете, с чего
She has a
начать, что
wonderful karma because she took birth in such a wonderful
я всегда
family.
в сфере образования,
So
и
I would like
мне
to
очень
start with
важно,
one
что там
point.
происходит, и очень
All
важно,
my life I've been
что,
connected with this sphere of education, and
простите, я
it's very
волнуюсь,
important for me what's going on there.
И
I'm
мне
sorry,
очень
I'm a
важно,
bit
чтобы
excited. I did not
реальные люди
expect that
сегодня
I would
спросили,
be
задали
so
реальные
much
вопросы.
excited.
Поэтому я буду даже озвучивать
So
имя.
it's very
Даже
important
буду
for me
озвучивать их
so that
позволения,
the
что это за
real
люди,
people
откуда они.
could
Потому что
ask the
это
real
действительно крайне
questions.
важно.
So I will even
Вот
mention
устанавливаем
their
все
names, the
присутствуют. Но
people
легко
who
ли
will
быть
ask the
молодым?
questions,
Легко ли быть родителем?
with their
Легко ли
permission,
быть
of course,
вообще
because it's
таким
really very
одаренным
important.
человеком в этой
We are all
сфере?
connected with
И
education, but is
больше,
it
чем
easy to be
гуру, мне
young? Is
кажется,
it easy
никто
to
не
be a
ответит на этот
parent?
вопрос. И вот нам
Is
представилась
it easy to
такой
be
потрясающий шанс. Вы
indifferent
любезно
in
согласились принять
sorry, not
участие в этом
indifferent in this
эфире.
sphere of education?
И
And
мы
no one
со
can
всех
answer all
сторон
these questions
озвучить
better
эту
than a
тему.
guru. So we have a wonderful
Итак,
chance to have you in this live stream,
можно
and
ли
we
такой
will
первый вопрос
try
к
to
вам
discuss
достаточно
this
личный?
topic from all sides.
Достаточно
So
личный.
my first
Скажите,
question to
пожалуйста, в
you will
течение
be
вашей долгой
quite
жизни,
personal.
кто был для вас примером
During your long
учителя?
life, who was
И
for you
какие качества в этом
the
человеке вас,
perfect example
за что
of
вы
a
его любили, за
teacher?
что его уважали?
And which of his qualities made you love him and respect him? During one's life, a person may have many teachers. The ancient sages say that every person that we meet in our life can be our teacher, actually, in some particular sphere. We can learn from him anything. It's actually a question of our personal position. The modern world, for example, doesn't accept this concept of being a student, the concept of discipleship. You have finished your studies, you received your diploma, and that's it, you are no more a disciple. But the ancient sages left an instruction for us to stay a disciple during all our life. And from this position we can see that a person may have very big amount of teachers, and he can learn many things. Of course, it's not all the time that I knew about this ancient tradition, but actually it's the main thing, because actually the sense of a human life is to learn yourself and to teach the others. There are just two these functions, to learn and to teach. So a disciple is at the same time a teacher. I've learned the truth and I have to transfer it. In my personal life, I had, for example, my school teachers. Many of them I still remember. Especially their kindness has touched me. There are many very touching scenes during my school studies. I had a chance to meet very particular people, very caring, with a strong mood of maternity or paternity. And so this energy of parenthood is the basis of education, rather at school or at home or at the university and also in our spiritual life. About maternity and paternity. For example, our confessor, we call him Father, Father Alexander, and so on. He is a father, and the relationship of fatherhood. This is the idea of a relationship disciple and teacher. Also, I had my art teachers to whom I am still very grateful. Of course, I also had my friends with whom we grew together, with whom we were searching for the truth together, and I've learned a lot from them also. A lot I've learned from my own intelligence. The teacher is also present within me, inside of me, as an intelligence. But to whom I am especially grateful is my spiritual master. I had a chance to meet him 35 years ago. He gave me initiation and his instructions, and our relationship with him are eternal. It's a special soul, and it was a great opportunity in my life. So I was really lucky to meet such people and meet my spiritual master. So this is my short answer to your question. Thank you very much for sharing this very personal information about your teachers at school, in art and in your spiritual life. It's great that you remember all of this. Your mood of disciple is very special. Thank you very much. So we have a question from Asel Ajanova. She is a PhD in philosophy. She is from Karaganda. She is asking how the young people can understand their nature. She is very concerned about the youth. So how a young person can understand his nature? Can you give some criteria which can help one to find himself, to find his way in life, and how education can help him in this? So it's a very good question. Education actually can and has to help everyone to find themselves. But education can also harm. For example, if education creates some kind of dogmas and stereotypes, it can become an obstacle in this path. Today, actually, it's quite spread. This is why these kind of questions appear. How to help a youth to find itself? So we should be missing something. Because the nature of a person is already present in him or her. We have to just accept it. So let's try to understand why it's so difficult to accept it. Why do we refuse our nature? One of the problems of the modern world is some kind of standards of prestige. For example, today it's prestigious to be a businessman, a rich man. And it's not prestigious to be poor, to be a janitor, for example. In my childhood, for example, it was very prestigious to be a cosmonaut. They were the heroes, the most progressive people at that time. And everyone were inspired to learn from them and to become cosmonauts as well. Everyone dreamt of being cosmonaut. But no one really became a cosmonaut. It was a stereotype, a very beautiful, inspiring, of course, but it was not applicable to everyone. Because the point is that not everyone should be a cosmonaut. We don't have to develop this idea of prestige. The ancient sages explained that the nature of all the people can be nicely classified. There are always the workers, the businessmen, the managers, and the spiritual people, spiritual teachers. And these four classes of people are always present in any society. And everyone should find himself within one of these four classes, to find his original nature. There should not be any prestige and comparison that this is good and this is bad. For example, it's bad to be a worker and it's good to be a priest. These things should not contradict each other. In Soviet Union, for example, one grave mistake was made. The country had a need in engineers. And the government started to attract young people to the polytechnic universities with many kinds of privileges. And many young people went to study there because of these privileges. Not because of their vocation, but because of these privileges. It was in fashion to be an engineer. And as a result, the country received the huge amount of bad engineers. The same thing happened in the sphere of medicine. Again, privileges, prestige, advertisement, and many people went there to study. And in the country there were many very bad specialists, very bad doctors with diplomas, but without any competence. And now mostly the doctors are the businessmen. And now in the world where the prestige is money, people have no chance to really find their vocation. Thank you very much for your answer. I found a very interesting Vedic quote about who is an educated person. We are used to think that it's one who has many diplomas, but in fact an educated person is just one who knows how to be happy. It stunned me because all these false standards confuse us, and these confused children cannot find themselves in this world. We have so many questions actually, so I will continue. We have a question from Evgenia, 12 years old, Rostov-na-Donu. She asks, is it necessary to force the children to believe in God? Isn't it better to let him grow up and then decide himself to believe in God or not, and in which God? Because this young girl, she watched a TV show where the God was forced and imposed. And she was even told that she would die, and she was very scared, so she asked this question. Actually, it's the same thing as if we put the gun to someone's head and say, love me, love me. No, it's not a spiritual method. It's more a politic. When the religion is politicized, when we are forced to accept some kind of religion because of the politics. But the true religion is in the heart, it's love. It's an internal energy to which you obey spontaneously. The same way as when you fall in love or you want to know something. It's very spontaneous. You want to know the truth spontaneously, naturally. You want to live in purity spontaneously. We have to just show each other what is the true love, true purity, true health, true happiness. This is what we have to teach our children. We all have a spontaneous aspiration for God, as well as for purity, for love, for health, for happiness. Because God actually contains all these good things. And those who try to frighten you with hell, they are just ignorant people, they are just politics. But these sad times, fortunately, have passed already. We are another generation. We are seeking for kindness, love, knowledge. Thank you very much for your answer. Today, really many people are confused by these kind of things. So even the children ask these questions. So, according to your answer, God is love. Thank you. Our next question is from Kukushkina Anfisa, PhD in history, a professor and academician. Every previous generation is criticizing the previous one, the next one, including the tendencies of the modern education. She is quoting what you have mentioned in one of your lectures. You've said when you are criticizing, you have to offer something. When you offer something, you have to take responsibility and act properly. What steps should we take to spiritualize our education? Because plenty of modern technologies restrain the youth from manifesting their good qualities. We actually don't need any experimentations. I don't want to give you any field for experiments by answering your questions. For example, we think, let's try this kind of education, and finally the whole generation of young people is lost. Now let's try another type of education, and again we fail. So we don't have to make any experiments with people. We have to give them precise knowledge. Education starts from knowing yourself. Here there will be no mistake, no experimentations. You have to know yourself. So a teacher has at first to be a self-realized person. If he is under influence of illusion, if he is working just for money, or career, or prestige, or personal happiness, and he doesn't really care of the others, he cannot be useful. He will just make his own experiments on you. If you are learning from him in the name of his career, in the name of his success, you are just being used in this way. You are just used in a gross or subtle form. We have already mentioned that teaching means paternity and maternity. It's selfless. That's why you have to first know yourself. There is this selfless nature within you. You have to find it. Like this you will be happy yourself and you will be able to teach the others. So the pure motivation is selflessness, development of this parental energy. First know yourself, and then with a pure motive everything will work. Is it right? Yes, I am a particle of divine love. I am a selfless soul. This is what everyone should realize. Okay, thank you very much. Our next question is from Vladlena, a doctor from Almaty. She has a creative approach in education. Many of her colleagues doesn't like it. They prefer to follow some kind of templates. And she's seeing this problem of many teachers who don't want to accept other opinions. She is asking what to do in this situation. So what does she do? In education, she is very creative, but other teachers are not so creative. They use certain templates, and she feels that her way is not accepted. Well, me, I was in this situation all my school years. I was just tolerating silently. What can we do finally if the teachers have their own program and they have to follow it strictly? They cannot do anything, they are just a part of a system, so you don't have to accuse them. You can just tolerate it. But besides the official teachers, you should also have the mentors who will support your creative side. You don't have to expect it from the teachers at school. You have to be forgiving and tolerant with them. Many of them are just victims of the system, so you don't have to rebel and make revolutions. Just find a mentor for your heart. Not everyone can be this kind of person. You have to make efforts to find him. If you are sincere, you will for sure find this kind of person. So it means that some particular things in our life we just have to accept and tolerate. Some particular conditions of this material world. Yes, we have to just tolerate. I will mention 3 things that will help you in any situation. If you see that there is a problem from a particular person or group of people, you can influence them in a certain way. You can give them knowledge, you can explain them what is good and what is bad. This is the first way to avoid the problem. The second way, for example, you see that the problem has its origin in yourself. Your own character can create the problems as well, right? So the second way is to work with yourself. First way is to correct the surroundings, and the second way is to correct yourself. And the third way, if the problem doesn't depend on me and on the others, it exists just independently. No one is guilty. Then I am just tolerating it. So there are 3 ways to educate the others, to educate yourself, and to tolerate. In this way you will achieve any goals. Our path is not always easy, there will always be some obstacles. So you have to know these 3 ways to deal with the problems. And the patience we will need quite often in our life. Thank you, you've just gave an advice which will help to solve any problems, just by applying these 3 ways. Galina, the teacher and philologist from Karaganda, is asking if the teacher can punish in order to educate the children. Because the children sometimes are very naughty. So if we have to punish the children, how to do it right? When I was studying at school, once my father presented me a dog. It was a pedigree dog. It was an Eskimo dog. And of course we made friends. Immediately I bought a book, How to Educate a Dog, how to teach them to perform different tasks. I wanted her to be a very clever dog. And it was written in that book that a small dog will for sure shit in your apartment. And the same thing for children. They are small and naturally they are very naughty. They will not use the door to close and open it. They will use it just to swim. This is children. They have this kind of imagination. It's their nature. So then it was described how to teach a dog not to shit at home. It appeared to be not that difficult. So this dog has shitted, and you take it by the collar, and you put her nose to her own excrements. You do it a few times, and then you show her the place where she should do it. It's enough to do once for the dog to understand how to do it. She will understand the right place and the right way to do it. But there is one but. If the dog has shitted when you are not at home, you come in a few hours and you see the dog's excrements at your carpet. And if she will do the same, put her nose to these excrements, she won't understand what's happening. She has already forgot. And in this way, you become an enemy for your dog. She will be offended because she doesn't understand what is her guilt. So you have to punish when a child realizes his mistake. And the punishment should not be hard because the child already realizes and he punishes himself. You just have to put the attention on the point that it's bad what he has done. And when he realizes that it's bad, he is automatically already punished. But if he knows that it's bad but continues to do it, then you have to punish. We're punishing a child to develop his consciousness, not for frightening him or just for training him, but just to develop the consciousness. Why am I punished? What did I do wrong? The reason is in me. He is finding the reason within himself, and in that way he starts to know himself. So punishment has a meaning actually. For example, sometimes children can do dangerous things. They fight, they beat each other, they can even cut out their fingers while playing. Yes, it happens sometimes in schools even. Some children are really socially dangerous and aggressive. There are psychologists who work with them. Sometimes they are even excluded from school because it's impossible to educate them. Some particular children are not able to be educated at all. These children have been conceived with a strong lust, and it's very difficult to educate them. But still, their consciousness can be gradually elevated if we put efforts to educate them. Then there are difficult teenagers, there are even prisons for teenagers. So there are really difficult children. But anyway, the point is the consciousness. So a child has to realize that he is a source of a problem. Thank you. I think it's really a very difficult question. Today, many children take birth with a difficult karma. Iyaz, a teacher, a blogger, a father of 2 daughters, asks this question. He is asking about widely spread abortions among teenagers. He mentions 2 reasons for that, a moral decline in general and the absence of spiritual education in families and schools. But instead of propagating chastity, educating chastity, the government starts the programs of sexual education at school. And he is asking what is the reason for that. This is called compromise. For example, I am in charge of the society and I see that the moral of the society is degrading. And at the same time, I have no knowledge how to raise the chastity in the society. So then I take this kind of measures, quite artificial. This is a compromise. Juvenile justice is the same example. I am a governor, but I have no knowledge how to create good families, strong marriages. I don't know how to create fidelity in the families. I don't know, so I create the laws that create the compromise. This is called juvenile justice. And so on and so forth. There are also same-sex marriages, for example. It's a compromise. The society loses the principles. So we don't have to wait from society, from the governors, that they will elevate our morality, our spirituality. The society have no resource for that. In official education, it doesn't exist. That's why you have to individually be responsible for your own life, for your own family. You have to educate your children yourself. the principles that are given within the family are more influential than ones from the school. But for this, you have to be yourself, be a pure example. This is how we can elevate our culture. We cannot do it by the compromises. We have to have strong family traditions. Thank you. So it means that we have to start from ourselves. Yes, it's right. It's a deal of every family. Yes, because we have the tendency to change the society, but we don't try to change ourselves. Thank you very much. Alina, a teacher from Italy, is asking, distance education, online education is giving a formal knowledge. Everyone understands it. It doesn't give the notion of collective, the relations. There is no relations, there is no connection between a teacher and a student, there is no cooperation. What should do a teacher? How should he behave in this situation? It is called individualism. It's a form of egoism, isolation. Everyone becomes autists. Little by little we become sick people with these forms of education. Because there is only one real form of education, is a personal transfer of knowledge from a teacher to a student. Not machines, not impersonal tests. It's a personality of a teacher. He is who is an example for a student. The acts are more strong than the words, so you have to be an example for a student. On Sanskrit, it is called achar prachar. This is two ways of education. Prachar is what we say, but it won't work without achar. Achar means behavior. So there should be a life teacher and a life student. There should be achar prachar, and only in this way the society will start to accept some values. We don't have to educate some machines, some programmed computer brains who can memorize and answer the questions. No, people also should have the moral qualities. A well-educated person can stay a rascal at the same time. Just imagine we have a society of well-educated rascals. In this sense, what is better, a well-educated rascal or an ignorant rascal? I think still it's better a foolish rascal, but if he is educated, he should not be a rascal then, because it's a very dangerous combination. Thank you very much. Konstantin from Moscow asks, what is the main experience that the parents should transfer to their children? Is it a good feeling from doing kind things? Is it reciprocation with happy parents? So he has a variance of answers within his question. Well, it's already not bad. He was talking about some pious acts. I would like to give you a higher standard answer. I accept everything good that you are saying, but I also take courage to say that all the good things, without applying a higher principle, they will, with time, they will degrade, sooner or later. Anyway, they will drown in material greed, all the material conditions. Dog eat dog, we are always fighting in this world. And like this we can lose everything good. So the higher principle that maintains all these good qualities is ultimately the love of God. And this is completely lost in modern society. We have love for humans, we have love for animals, love for nature. But if we have all of this, why we are still continue suffering? Because we don't have this main maintaining force. Because there is a source of all of it, the source of all the living entities, of humans, animals, plants, nature, the source of cosmos, the source of religion. It all have a divine source, and we have lost our connection with it. That's why everything is degrading. So the mode of goodness is not enough? No, the mode of goodness is not enough because it's just a step to go higher, but it's not an ultimate goal. Thank you very much. Marika, the student, a young mother from Almaty, is asking, why today is there so many teachers and how to understand which of them is true. There are many teachers because there is need in it. If there is a need, many people can use it. Some can pretend to be teachers because they may get some profit from it, and it's fashionable to be a teacher nowadays. You can start collecting followers, money, but the true teacher have no interest in all of this. The true teacher should contain 3 principles. His words, his thoughts, and his acts should serve God. They should not serve neither career, nor money, nor followers, nor power. They should be selfless. His words, his thoughts, and his acts should be connected with God, should serve God. Like this, you will recognize a true teacher. It's amazing. It's a very precise criteria because we can easily be confused because there are so many gurus now. How to understand? Thank you very much. Baghdad, the teacher, mother of 2 sons from Karaganda, is asking how to keep the curiosity of a child. Yes, you are right. The children are curious by their nature. So if you are able to answer all their questions, their aspiration for knowledge will never stop. It stops only then when there is no answer. For example, Aesop has this kind of fable which describes a fox who is reaching for the grapes. These grapes are hanging high and the fox is not capable to reach them. So she's asking, but still there is no answer. And finally she loses her interest and even starts to criticize. She says, anyway, it's sour. What's the use of eating it? And so she leaves. And like this, the child is asking questions. Where do I come from? What is the sense of life? And no one is answering his questions. And so he loses his interest and he starts to criticize everything and he becomes a cynic. So if this process of questions and answers is absent, we lose the interest. In fact, all our life we have to inquire and listen and educate the others. It's a very interesting and inspiring process if we have answers. So we have to just correctly and sincerely answer the questions of children. It's right? Yes, exactly. We have to connect them with the mystery of life. They say that the God is a mystery of life, and every person has to be connected with it. Thank you. Asira Janova is asking, what is the value of spiritual education? Spiritual education includes high morality and material qualifications also. 2 in 1. This is its special value. It doesn't only give professional skills, but it grows the morality in a person. So it has a great value. Like this, highly educated people appear. If we look practically, what is the difference between material education and spiritual education? The main thing is that it educates the professionals and at the same time honest people. This is the main thing. Honest person. This is the main difference, because today there are so many cheaters. Everyone uses its profession like a milk cow just for his own profit. We have a tendency to exploit others if we have some advantage. If we have more education or knowledge or power, we try to use it for ourselves. This is not a spiritual education. Spiritual education means that the higher you are, the more you help other people. You are honestly using your knowledge. Thank you very much. And maybe you have noticed that nowadays many parents seem to even consciously don't want to grow these good qualities in their children, like honesty, for example, because they are afraid that like this their children will become losers. everyone will cheat them. On the contrary, they say to their children, you have to be tricky, you have to be able to trick. In some ways, I can understand these parents. I even agree to some point, because there is honesty in goodness and an honesty in ignorance. It's a naivety. For example, a child is playing outside and some man is approaching and he's asking, where do you live, boy? You are living here, and what is the number of your house? What is the number of your apartment? Are your parents at home? No? Are you alone? So let's go. We can play together at your house. And like this, he is just robbing his house. It's called naivety. It's not honesty, it's foolishness. A child doesn't understand with whom he is talking. Honesty is based on knowledge. Honesty is responsibility. When you don't cheat anyone and anyone can't cheat you. Anyone can't cheat you because you are full of knowledge. So honesty should be in the mode of goodness. But if you cannot teach in goodness, you start to compromise. You are saying, yes, you have to cheat, because otherwise you will be cheated. The real honesty is very powerful, because you don't have to tell just some kind of truth to anyone about yourself. First of all, you have to talk about absolute truth. On this platform, we start to be really honest. Because without God, there is no honesty ultimately. The thieves can also honestly, so-called honestly, divide between themselves what they have stolen. They are very honest. But if we understand that everything belongs to God and we tell it to everyone, this is the real honesty. Like this, people will steal less because they will understand that there is nothing that belongs to me in this world. We are just using it temporarily. This is from what we should start, from the absolute truth. And again, it's connected with self-realization. When Jesus Christ was asked how to divide the inheritance, he said that he wouldn't be one who divides. He did not come to talk about these kind of subjects. We have to talk about the absolute truth, absolute honesty. Nur Sultan, a doctor, a teacher from Petropavlovsk, is asking, I finished medical university, but I feel that I tend to other kind of activities. How to understand that it's a desire of my soul and not the desire of gaining more money? He is trying to understand his own motive. That activity that you want to do even without money, it means that it corresponds to your nature. You are not paid for it, you are not even asked, but still you want to do it just as a hobby. It means it's really your nature. But I agree that in modern world sometimes we have to just gain money. It doesn't matter how, just to be able to maintain yourself. Sometimes we are obliged to do it also. So you can do any job, but secretly you have to do something that you really like. Selflessly for God, in correspondence with your nature. It will be your luck, your chance. So for men, it's natural to work according to their dharma, even if these activities they don't like, but they have to do it to maintain their families. Yes, it's right, you can do whatever you can just to maintain your family, you have to work. It's a duty. Okay, thank you very much. Ayjan Aljanova, a teacher. How a teacher can keep his creative approach if he is overloaded by different reports and formalities and so on? Well, I don't know how to keep it. In this situation, it won't be easy. But still, if you are connected with God in your heart, still you will be a joyful and a positive person, even in this difficult situation. And also you should understand that it's not by chance that you are in this situation. It's your destiny. In our world, we have this situation when the marriage is cursed, the teachers are cursed, the doctors are cursed. The most important spheres of society are in misery. The teachers are poor, the doctors are poor, the families suffer. Though normally it has to prosper, but in our age it all has fell down, and our task is to put it up. Now it's like a war, informational war, spiritual war, for a personality, for morality, for love. It means that it's a war time and we don't have to expect for comfort. This is our position now. We are fighting for the future, we are building the future. It's a basis for new generation, because now we are fallen. We have already fell down and we don't have to count for a happy and wealthy life. Our happiness will be in overcoming ourselves and in sacrificing ourselves. Don't wait for comfort. It's not easy, but it's a high path. All the heroes will survive. So all the teachers should understand that there will be no comfort, right? We don't have to expect that everything will be good one day, because we have to think about the future. Yes, you have to know yourself first. And if during your life you will educate one person, one pure person, your life will be successful. Thank you very much. Today it's not prestigious to be a teacher, though I know many people who are very good teachers by their nature, and they are really sacrificing themselves. You know, I wanted to add that me personally, when this routine comes, I try to see it as a tempest in a teapot. And I try just to stay a bit aside and not to be too much involved to this. I see that it's temporary, I just have to do it and forget. Don't be too much engaged, involved in the process. But with great joy I go to the students. This is my life. This is what really brings me joy. All the rest is just a part of the process, just a side product. Like side product of a medicament. Olga, a teacher, a mother of 3 children from Kaliningrad, is asking how to educate children who are already quite adult and they were not educated in spirituality. Yes, it's a good question. Sometimes the train is off already, the boat has sailed. It's too late sometimes. But still, every person has a tendency for spiritual knowledge. When there are 3 conditions. For example, he is suffering too much in his life. For example, he is hardly sick. Almost all the people in this kind of situation is searching for knowledge. Often they address to God in this situation. Bulgakov was saying, you may be an atheist. If you have a sarcom, you will go to a fortune teller, to charlatans, to the mystics, anywhere. Everyone will lie to you. And in this kind of circumstances, you will finally address to God in order to find truth, to find knowledge. So this is the category of those who suffer. The second category is those who are in need. I'm working honestly, but still I'm poor, I have a big family, and it's all very painful. These people may turn to knowledge also, to understand why it's happening like this. Is it really possible to live honestly in this world or not? The third category is curious people. When you are curious, your intellect will naturally inquire for this food. So you are reading, studying, and if you are really curious, you won't have prejudice. You are reading philosophical books, the spiritual books, and from everywhere you take some good things. You have a spacious mind. You are not a fanatic. And the highest category is the fourth one. It's the people who search for the absolute truth. And there are really few of these kind of people. If you find such a person, you may consider yourself as a lucky person. So the circumstance will naturally push people to address to the absolute truth, right? Yes, if they have some piety, they will sooner or later address to the absolute truth. If not, they can even become criminals or something like this. Or just be a parasite in the society. This is already another category of people, they are not pious. They can break the law, exploit, become dictators, criminals. Thank you. Jambota, a magister from Karaganda, is asking, which spheres of life should consider first the modern system of education? Which spheres should get the more attention in educational process? I think that we cannot really change the school now because it's a big system. It doesn't give us even any time for any innovations. But I'm absolutely convinced that even in these conditions with this strict system, the key role is the personality of a teacher. Because it's enough sometimes just few moments of revelation to raise some very important insights in a disciple that after he will bring through all his life. There may be even just 1 minute of something very intimate. For example, I remember my teacher of math, who in the school assembly, when all the parents were present, were talking about us, the pupils, and we were just crying because of how she took care, how she loved us, how she was worried about our future. When she manifested it, we understood that someone needs us. It's not just a teacher of math. She is living with us and she understands us. Or we had a teacher of Russian language and we literally almost died when she left the school suddenly. And when the director of our school has died, everyone were crying. The children, their parents, the teachers, everyone. So it was just some kind of little moments in between of the routine, the classes, the notes, and so on and so on. There was a personality of a teacher. It was something very intimate and very important. So I am convinced that the main thing is the personality of a teacher, his attitude to disciples, not even the subject that he is teaching, not the system. Because finally we can forget everything, the math, physics and so on, but we will never forget the personality of the teacher, who played this very intimate role in our life. Thank you very much. Today all the teachers are pushed to all the time improve their professional qualification, but no one talks about the personal qualifications, personal qualities, the qualities of the soul. Aygul Bakirova, a lawyer from Astana, is asking, in the law of education of Kazakhstan there is such a statement, the freedom of education. How should we understand the freedom of education? Is there a difference between the right for education and the freedom of education? She is supposing that in the future a student may even make his choice if he wants to study or not. Let's imagine. The ancient sages have studied this subject. The human nature is nicely described by them. Though it's difficult now to get an access to this knowledge, it's not easy to understand. But the knowledge is present. And it's stated, for example, that a bird should be taught how to fly. You won't yoke a bird to a chariot, for example, like a bull. A bird has to fly. You don't have to teach a fish to run, for example. It has to swim. So they say about the nature of a person. They know how, whom to teach. Before 12 years, all the children are being taught altogether. Vedic education starts from 5 years, and from 5 to 12 years it's a general education. They study about self-realization, absolute truths, different kind of arts, languages, math, and so on, spiritual knowledge. And starting from 12 years, professional education starts, and it is different for different children. Someone goes to study labor, when you can do something with your hands. Someone goes to study the bank, economics, or agriculture. Someone goes to study administration and management, and someone continues intellectual studying to be psychologists, scientists, and so on, philosophers or spiritual people. There should be this kind of division because the fish cannot fly and a bird cannot swim. So we have to engage our nature. And like this, everyone will be happy. A bird should not compete with a horse. Now we have lost this knowledge. But even intuitively, as a teacher, you can see that the children that are not that don't have this tendency for studying, they are sitting somewhere in the back of a classroom and just painting something on the desk. They have to do something with their hands, and then they will be happy. And we just scold them by saying that, you are foolish, you are stupid, and so on. They should be artisans, craftsmen, they should be happy and successful people, and we are just scolding and humiliate them. We are comparing them to those who have good marks and study well. We are comparing a bird to a fish, but they have different natures, and we lost it actually. Thank you very much. Honorary Simha and Rasa Kriya from Vrindavan are asking, looking at the modern students, we can see that the culture and intellect, everything degrades little by little. Though almost all the youth is studying somewhere. So we have an impression that education and the real life is something completely different. How can we overcome this distance and connect education and real life? Then I should ask you, you have to think, what is real life? Just think about it. I will give you a hint. All of us, whoever he is, a pupil, a teacher, a president of a country, whoever, poor, rich, whatever, everyone is responsible for his words and acts. Before whom he is responsible? Think about it. What is the real world? What is the real life? Think about it and you will understand everything. All of us have the same responsibility before God. And in the face of death, we are all equal. And now think about what is the real life. I'm saying it to everyone who are listening to us now. So it was a very deep question, and the answer is also very deep. Every one of us should understand what is the real life. And who am I in this real life? What is my place and who am I in this life? It's very important to understand, and like this we will understand the answer. Because for someone the reality of the real life is, I don't know, the bandits, the criminals, someone will cheat me, someone will kill me, and this is their reality. This is how he understands the real life. For someone the real life is his profession. So we can understand the real life according to our gunas. But we should understand what it is in real. You know, we have just 5 more minutes left. I've started with my own question and I would like to finish with my own another question also. I'm very much considered with this question. All my life, and especially being a mother and being a teacher, it taught me one thing. There is something that we are missing. We are missing heart. We are missing a soul. We are greedy, we are not generous. At least I can say it about myself. Can you give us a recommendation? Which quality should develop a parent, a teacher, a master? Because we are often judged according to our professional skills, but I have a strong conviction that this is not all, and this is not the main thing. I have another question. From whom the teachers are learning? From their own teachers? And those ones, they are learning from whom? Originally, who is the teacher? And ultimately, we come to God, yes. Right, if we all will will learn from God, everything will be okay. Because God is very generous. So we have to learn from all His great qualities. I will tell you one thing. All the teachers are considered to be a higher class in society. And all the teachers should learn only from God, from the higher and from the perfect source. When we are learning from a man, we are unconsciously taking his imperfections and his mistakes. This is why we have to learn from the holy scriptures and saintly people. This should be a fundamental rule for all the teachers. Otherwise, we will become cheaters and we will be cheated. So we don't have to be afraid to be bold, to be honest, generous. Exactly, you don't have to be afraid. You have to be fearless, because you know the absolute truth. Thank you very much. Another small question. How to tell about the sense of life to a child? The sense of life? He understands everything that is connected with love. A child understands. A child has love naturally. For him, a mother and father are God. On this basis, you can explain to him many things. You can tell to a child, God is our father, and he will understand everything. He understands the word father. If he has a bad father, then there is a problem. Then God will be also bad for him. This is a problem. In one of your lectures, you mentioned that in order to understand God, you have to necessarily accept a spiritual master and accept your parents as teachers. So we don't have even elementary respect to our parents. Maybe we should start from this point, from the simple things that are already by themselves very difficult for us. Then you have to start from the previous step. You have to teach the parents, which will be respected as the representatives of God. They have to be taught. You are teaching the children, but you forget that you have to teach also the parents. Okay, we have just 19 seconds left, so I will stop here. Thank you very much. We have an enormous source for thinking about. Thank you for your generous heart and for your wisdom. Thank you. Good luck.